LTN Radio live from Strong Tower Con in Waukesha, Wisconsin. It is, the last couple hours of the Sunday 3-day event. We're on the very, very end of it. Tail end, almost over.
Pretty crazy.
Ben Cohn is with me right now, known as Conesy. Started out his gaming journey with Dungeons & Dragons at the age of 12 and soon moved on to Magic the Gathering and miniature games like Warhammer. His passion for miniatures grew into a vast collection, including Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40K, right? 40K, Blood Bowl, and many more. Alongside miniatures, Ben developed a love for tabletop board games of all kinds, from worker placement to party games. With nearly 30 years of gaming experience and a collection of over 500 board games, Conesy continues to explore and share his enthusiasm for the hobby. Conesy, welcome.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome to be on. Hey, welcome to WiscoDice.
Yeah, so first things first, at Strong Tower Gaming Con is coming to an end. How has the experience been for you?
Oh, it's been an absolute blast. Every year I come to this thing, it is absolutely gets better and better every year. And even though it's a new venue and there's obviously challenges like that, the staff and everybody here has been absolutely amazing to work with and put on games. And now I will say, recording and trying to interview on a Sunday, I was very worried I would not have a voice after running 20 plus hours of games here, but it's absolutely a blast.
Now, you are the founder, the owner, and the only remaining original member of WiscoDice, which is a team of content creators here in Wisconsin that's been going strong for over 12 years.
Yeah,
first as an audio podcast, right?
Right. We still do the audio podcast today. We launched a YouTube channel about 2 years ago, and we've had the blog pretty much since day one as well. So,
and you've been focusing more on like game reviews and recommendations. I mean, 12 years is a long time.
Yeah. So I mean, we were. It was originally founded as a Warhammer Fantasy podcast.
Yeah.
And then, if we all know, we track our Games Workshop. Well, the old world got exploded, and the game died, and we were like, what do we do with this thing? And so COVID happened, and after some going back and forth with other miniature games, we said, hey, we're really playing a ton of board games, and we can play games on cool tools like Board Game Arena and Tabletopia during COVID, so we can do board game content. So we brought in some new hosts, changed over our content. So the last 2 or 3 years have been strictly board game content, both reviews, recommendations, publisher, and other media guests that are in the environment of board gaming. We've had the great pleasure to have content from Keith Majedka over at Thunderworks Games on the show, Dave Beck from Paverson Games, our friends at Sophisticated Cerberus Games, and so many other amazing publishers on the audio show. And of course, we do great things like Kickstart Monday on Mondays, where we feature 2 or more crowdfunding things on our blog. So there's a reason to make sure that you catch that. And of course, we have all of our social media. This sounds like an advertisement now and a commercial for WiscoDice.
We'll definitely get to that. So in the time that you've been doing these reviews, previews, gameplays, what have been some of your most surprising previews, reviews of games, things that maybe you didn't expect to like that wound up being one of your new favorites?
So I'm going to say, particularly when we interviewed Dave Beck the first time, right before Distilled went to Kickstarter, I was like, I'm pretty psyched for this game because there's not a lot of games out there about distilling spirits. In fact, there's basically none. There's nothing like Distilled, really. Yeah. And so when we had Dave on and he's telling us about the game, I knew I was going to be excited for it, but I did not realize after that. And when I was done with the interview, and I could tell Dave was still a little nervous about the Kickstarter. He didn't know. You never know how those things are going to go. I'm like, Dave, you have an amazing game here. This thing is going to blow up. And that's exactly what happened. Distilled is now like constantly in the top 10, and it was amazing to see Dave this year at Gen Con. And right before he got his Dice Tower award, and he was like, I know I'm going to be in the Dice Tower thing, and I know I'm a nominee, but I'm not going to get anything. I'm like, Dave, you're going to get something. So it was my honor and pleasure afterwards when he got an award to be able to tell him, I told you so, one more time.
You are not the first person to answer Distilled to that question this weekend either.
It definitely has crept into my top 10 games of all time.
Just how many miniatures do you own in your collection?
Oh, good Lord. It's a lot less than it used to be. I'm probably somewhere around maybe a couple thousand, maybe. Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I liquidated a lot after the end of the old world, so I kind of regret that now because Warhammer, they just brought back square bases, so now you can play Warhammer the old world again and play with all those legacy armies, which is awesome, and I sold them all.
What is it about like the miniature collecting that really pulls you in?
So the best part about miniature collecting and miniature gaming is, for me, is the fact that I don't always need to have somebody to play against. And what I mean by that is I grew up in rural Wisconsin. I didn't have, I got into Warhammer Fantasy. I've told this story on our show before, because the local True Value hardware store stocked it. You imagine, Reedsburg, Wisconsin, here's the local True Value. There's got miniatures and RC cars, and it was kind of cool. So I'm like, okay, I bought the box and I got into miniatures, but it was being able to paint and do the hobby work and make terrain and all these other activities that lit up a creative side of me and gave me something to do. And then back in the day, I wasn't very good at painting, and the products were not anywhere like what they were today for painting or tutorials. There was no YouTube or anything like that really for it. So it was great being able to bring that together and show and have something to do when I didn't have anything else to do with my gaming hobbies.
I feel like that's something that people that have no idea about the tabletop world don't know exists. That there's like this arts and crafts element to the miniature gaming, where you get to actually paint them yourselves, and how intricate you can be and how difficult that can sometimes be. But I've seen some very beautiful creations of people just taking their time with the tiniest of paintbrushes to get every single little line and shadow. Yeah.
But you don't have to be intimidated like that anymore. You don't even have to worry about that. Like, just there are like contrast paints out now today that you can use. Just you spray a white over it, and then spray a little gray spray paint over the top real far away, and then just paint on a contrast paint, maybe a layer or two of that, and it done. And just boom, your model's done. You don't have to do a lot of work. And if you're in board games like I think we are, like if you show up with like a poorly painted board game it's still like you painted within the lines, everybody at the table goes, ooh, man, did you do that? Wow, you're amazing. So, don't be intimidated by painting your stuff, whether it's a board game or you're getting into miniatures or role playing. It always enhances the game experience.
All right, so fun and possibly challenging question to end on. In the whole world of board games right now, what has you most excited?
Oh, Lord. That is a challenging question. So those folks that know me or pay attention to WiscoDice will know that I'm a huge fan of the Terra Mystica games. And so this past year in the Terra Mystica world has been an amazing year because we got Age of Innovation, which is rapidly growing to be my favorite game of all time. And we just dropped at Gen Con, I think it was Gen Con anyways, it was on Gen Con new release, the Gaia Project expansion, which is going to add new factions and a little bit more to explore in that game. So I am super excited about that. But of course we have Essence Spiel coming up, and there's always all of these great new Euros. So if I'm short term, that is absolutely what I am most excited to see is what's going to drop at Essence Spiel.
Yeah, we got a couple guys going this year.
Hoping next year. Next year.
All right, well, Conesy, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Before we wrap up, let's hit all the links, everything that we can promote for you. So you
can head right over to WiscoDice.com, and that's our blog that has all links to all of our social media, all of our YouTube. If you wanted to listen to the audio show, if you're a podcast listener like I do, I listen to way too many while I'm working in between all those conference calls. You can catch us on everything. Plus side of being out, having a podcast out since 2012 is that everything's scraped iTunes, and I don't have to worry about listing the show. It's just there. It just magically appeared everywhere. But also, you can, especially and most importantly for small content creators like us that have YouTube channels, Don't forget to like and subscribe. Support all of those small content creators. Every one of you helping do just that little thing, that little like button goes such a long ways to helping all of us. And make sure that you do it for all of us, because we really do need your support to keep getting the word out and keep growing this wonderful tabletop gaming community that we've all built and grown together.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. If you are listening on LTN Radio right now, the video version of this interview with me and Conesy here will be up on the YouTube channel in the next week or so. Just keep an eye out for that at youtube.com/lovethynerd. We'll also have all the links and everything pertinent for you from our discussion today. But if you are listening on LTN Radio, that means you've got more music coming your way, so stick right here, and we're going to be wrapping up things at Strong Tower Con in just a little bit at the top of the next hour, so stick around, and thank you for listening.